Welcome, everybody. My name is Amanda Postal, and I'm one of your MCs for this evening. Welcome to our 2019 Innovate Fall Showcase. If you've been to this event before, you might notice that we've changed the name this year, and that was to encompass more voices on campus. So we used to be called the Fall Faculty Showcase, and now it's just going to be the Innovate Fall Showcase. We're also going to be sharing the MC duties tonight with 3 USG students who are standing there in the back, and I'm going to introduce them a little bit later. But just to let you all know, this event has also been a partnership with USG. We're going to be talking a lot about good use of Carmen and how to use some of the Carmen Common Sense top 10 tips that USG has put together in your courses. So just to give you a little bit of our agenda for tonight, we're going to do some intros and updates. We're going to tell you guys the theme for Innovate next year. Very exciting. And then we've got 4 presentations. Our first one is going to be our USG students. And then we will have 3 faculty presentations on using Carmen Canvas as your classroom, gamification, and a little bit of a wrap up on the Carmen Common Sense Initiative and our raffle drawing at the very end. So be sure to stick around for that. All right, so the part that everyone is waiting for. So if you've attended this showcase before, you know that this is also the time that we release what our theme is going to be for Innovate next year. Every year the committee sits down and comes up with a theme that's not only going to be part of Innovate, but that will resonate throughout the year in our programming. So we're hoping that that will start tonight with this event. So we innovate, transform. So at this year's Innovate conference, we'll be searching for new ways to adapt as individuals, as organizations, and as a society in order to ensure excellence in teaching, learning, and improve the student experience in the 21st century. And because we do read all of your survey results every time that you come to our events, I promise we actually do it. We know that you want to hear more student voices and you want more practical takeaways to use in the classroom. So we're hoping that with this event tonight, we're going to kickstart that for our year of programming. We also have another important change. We are going to be bumping up the RFP opening and closing this year. So the RFP is going to be open as of right now. If you are feeling super inspired after tonight and you want to go home and type up a RFP, go for it. The form is open and ready to go. That means we're going to be closing it sooner this year too, so before the Thanksgiving holiday. But we're hoping that this will give folks a chance to get all of that done before the holidays, then you're not thinking about that over holiday break when you're doing grading and getting ready for the holidays and everything else. And that also gives our planning committee more time to sit down and really take a look at those sessions and get ideas for our ed talks and for the Imaginarium. So keep your eyes open for more information coming on that. Follow us on Twitter or check out our website. And I'm sure that there'll be more emails and information coming soon about that event. And just as a final reminder before we kind of get started tonight and I introduce our student MCs, we're going to go pretty quick through these presentations. So if you have any questions, please feel free to hold them till the end. And we've added in some time at the end for networking. So if you want to grab more food when we're done, stick around and talk to anybody. I know a couple of our student reps have to leave, but Sri, who's in the gray, will be hanging around if you have any questions for USG. But on that note, I'm sure everyone's ready to get started, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our students for this evening. Todd Borgerson is a political science major and serves as the USG Director of Academic Affairs. Todd has worked on the Carmen Common Sense project since its beginnings and believes that the smallest changes to a Carmen page can make students' and professors' lives easier. Adler Pierce is a neuroscience major and serves in USG as a university senator. He was part of the Student Voices at Innovate last year and wanted to continue with that positive experience and momentum and feedback from the audience. And Sri Uppalapati is an engineering and physics major specializing in computer science. He serves as the USG Deputy Director in Academic Affairs and USG representative on the Council of Academic Affairs Committee. He came into USG with the goal of improving the student experience at OSU, and through getting involved with Carmen Common Sense has realized the reach and possibilities that Innovate can bring for students. So I will go ahead and turn it over to you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for having us and Innovate for letting us do this showcase just to show you guys what we've been working on throughout the past few months on Carmen Common Sense within USG. So like Amanda said, my name's Todd. I'm the Director of Academic Affairs in USG.
I'm Shri. I'm a Deputy Director in Academic Affairs.
And I'm Adler. I'm a University Senator.
And we're here today mainly to talk to you guys about Carmen Common Sense. So what is Carmen Common Sense? What is this big project, and what does it mean for us? So about 7 months ago now, it feels long, wow, maybe even longer than that, a group of USG students were, me, myself, Adler included, and a few others, were complaining about some of our Carmen courses and some of the things that happened on those Carmen courses. It was a good hour of venting, for sure, from us, especially me, about some of the things that I had seen on some of my Carmen courses. And I think the root of our frustration at that time was we had seen amazing Carmen pages. We had seen some of the best, like some Carmen pages are incredibly intuitive. You jump on and you know exactly what you're doing. And some are either not up to par, or some are not even existent. So that was one of the first things that we realized. With that, there was a lot of interest in shared governance here as well, University Senate, and we put together a team of faculty, administrators, and us to kind of tackle this problem and try and make Carmen better. So the original idea for Carmen Common Sense was to create a Carmen Award, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But before we did that, we took a step back and we wanted to focus on, instead of rewarding Carmen pages that are already excellent, let's try and get the lowest Carmen pages up to par first. So with that, we went back to USG and decided to create a top 10 list, a list of characteristics that students say make Carmen pages better. We did this with, it was us, Odie, UITL, and DLIT. We all worked together on putting this together with student input to put this list together. So today, we're going to go through that top 10 list in depth. This is the first time we've actually done that in front of a large group of people, which is great. So without further ado, I think we're going to be getting that.
Yeah. So I'm going to take you through the first three on our top 10 list. So the first one is pretty straightforward. It's just upload your course syllabus to the Syllabus tab. When a student will enter a Carmen page, oftentimes they won't know where their syllabus is. Sometimes it's in files, sometimes it's in modules, sometimes it is in the Syllabus tab. And I still have courses now that I've been in for 6 weeks. I still have to look around for the syllabus. And that can just be a really helpful tool. The syllabus has all the important information for our class, such as assignments, due dates, anything you might need. So being able to find the syllabus quickly and effortlessly will just be a huge help. The second one is upload assignments to the Assignments tab. And so this does a really cool thing where if you add due dates, it'll auto-populate to a calendar in Carmen. And so by doing that, it helps us stay organized. We can just open the calendar, and it kind of eliminates us needing to have our own Google Calendar. And it just helps us stay organized, which is always a challenge, especially for incoming freshmen. And then the third one is enter grades into the Grades tab. So basically, just having one spot for grades is just a huge help in just keeping, it prevents us from having to keep track of our own grades, which I sadly had to do for classes before. And just having it in one place in Carmen, being able to see all of them at once is very, it's just so helpful. I'm going to pass that off to Sri.
You get both.
Yep. So the next top 10 tip that we have is consistent modes of communication. So Carmen has your announcements versus your Carmen inbox, and then sending emails outside of Carmen. And consistent mode of communication means not necessarily using the exact same type of communication every time, but always sending out homework through the announcements maybe, or always sending out changes to class structure through inbox, and sort of making sure that when students go to look for specific things related to the class, they know which tab to look under to get that communication. The next one is organizing the course into the modules. So a lot of courses will just have the modules tab, and then everything will be spread out in there, or things will be spread out across an entire files tab. So the modules tab allows you to organize the course into a few more focused pieces, which can make it a lot easier to navigate through the Carmen page and easier to find information related to homework or studying for the class. And then 6 is pretty simple, just remove unused sidebars. There's oftentimes a lot of classes where you click through 6 sidebars that have nothing in them, but seem like they would have really pertinent information. So removing this can help lower stress and sort of clear out the Carmen page and make it easier to find files or necessary attachments. And then 7 is organizing the homepage with instructor contact info. So the landing page for your Carmen can just have your email, office hours, and simple things, so that way students know how to get in contact with the instructor, when a good time to do that would be, and it makes it a lot easier to ensure that you're staying on top of class.
Next is just using clear and consistent naming systems. So this is something that we see a lot of times in courses where one week you'll have a module with the same assignment that you had the last week, but the next week it's not in a module, it's somewhere else, and it's called something different. Or it's just in the Files tab, and you have to go look for whatever that assignment is called for that week. Or sometimes professors like to just name their files like week 1, which doesn't really tell you anything, especially when there's 4 files named week 1. So instead of doing that, naming the file what it actually is fantastic. And taking the second to do that, and then instead of naming it week 1 or whatever and having to cycle through all of the different week 1s, putting it in a module or under a file folder that says week 1. Ninth, this one is a little bit more advanced than our first 8 tips that are very simple, but the use of open access resources. And I think this is where we see Carmen as probably one of the biggest and most important resources that we have on this campus. Carmen is an amazing suite to use open access resources and free resources for students, rather than having us pay for extra access codes and stuff like that, or extra textbooks for extra access codes. All you have to buy all of those new, and then you can't sell them. So using the resources that are already built in Carmen that you might be purchasing with an access code is something that I think as a university we all should be working towards in the future. I know that I've had classes before where I had to spend $100 on an access code, and the code got me into a new suite where I clicked links to YouTube to watch my professor give a lecture. So that, put the links in Carmen. You don't need another thing for that. So that makes life a lot easier. And this is kind of the greater challenge of Carmen, and one of our larger pieces that we're going to be focusing on moving forward as well. And finally is just leverage resources. So this big QR code up here is for we have a u.osu page right now. It will be migrated over to the USG website at some point, but it's for Carmen Common Sense. We have our top 10 list on there. I know that some of the top 10s might seem incredibly simple, and it's stuff that people in this room probably already do all the time, but those are the things that I would say if a course has 3 of those 10, they're doing something. They are really ahead of the curve sometimes. So that is kind of the big piece that we had as a challenge at first too, is just trying to get across the disparity of the quality in Carmen courses. So using our top 10, using resources, UITL, OD, DLIT, all of those have amazing resources for professors to learn how to make these Carmen pages. So with that, we are going to be moving into our first presentation, which I am so excited about. I think we're going to see some really cool Carmen stuff today. So our first presentation for this evening, we'll be using Carmen to support transformative learning, and our pair of presenters will be discussing how constant refinement and updates can improve a Carmen course. Mark Moritz is an associate professor in the Department of Anthropology. He teaches courses on theory and methods for undergraduate and graduate students from anthropology and other disciplines. Using backward course design, he integrates active learning activities to train students to think as anthropologists and leverage those skills in their careers inside and outside of academia. Mark Anthony Arsenio is a PhD candidate and a graduate teaching associate in the Department of Anthropology. His research broadly focuses on issues of food, place, and identity in times of change. Mark Anthony has taught many iterations of 2202 Introduction to Cultural Anthropology, both in person and online. This semester, he is drawing on these experiences to teach a hybrid variation of the course. Please give a warm welcome to them both.
Thank you very much. Today, Mark Anthony and I want to explain how we use Carmen to support transformative learning in our introductory course, Cultural Anthropology. You may think that transformative learning and Carmen Canvas don't go together, but they do, and we want to demonstrate how we use Carmen Canvas to get to transformative learning. And I want to note that although we meet all the 10 criteria, and I'm very proud of that, we're not doing anything fancy or special with Carmen Canvas. But we're using it to support transformative learning. And so when we ask students if we can use their material to show how transformative looks like, they reply with this. Of course, that warms my heart when I read stuff like that. But let me tell you a little bit some of the basics about the course. It's an intro to culture and topology. It meets 2 GE requirements. There's an enrollment cap of 50 students. The most sections are taught by GTAs. There's online, hybrid, and in-person sections. You could say it's quite a standard course, or it used to be quite a standard course with a textbook, exams, midterms, quite a boring course. But of course, anthropology is not boring. We love anthropology, and we think it's the best discipline. Of course, this is a stereotype of anthropology. This is not what we do anymore. Today, anthropologists study everyone and everywhere and everything, including you, students, faculty at institutions of higher education. And so Kathy Small, for example, enrolled as a student at her own university, did participant observation, lived in the dorms, enrolled for classes, and wrote this book about her freshman year. She also used what she learned in that year to transform her teaching. Susan Bloom at the University of Notre Dame conducts critical ethnographic research of higher education, and she's one of the leading proponents of ungrading, with the idea that grades get into the way of learning. Mike Wesch is another anthropologist at Kansas State University. He's been very innovative in experimenting with teaching, and has been taking a critical look at higher education. And so, for example, in 2007, together with his students, he made a video that examined what students learn, what they need to learn for the future, and how higher education fits in. And as you know, there's a misfit between that. 10 years later, in 2017, he started a new experiment. He created an online course called ANTHROP 101. And he made the course is built around experiential learning. And so there's no midterms, no finals. Instead, students do challenges. Mike Wesch made all the material available for free, textbook, videos, etc. And both Mark Anthony and I saw it in the summer of 2017, and we were intrigued. So we adopted the course, and we adapted the course, and so we used an ALX grant to import everything into Carmen Canvas, and we made also our own videos. And the result looks like this. So this is the homepage where students arrive in Carmen, and on that homepage they have the big premise of the course. And the big premise is you cannot think your way into a new way of living, you have to live your way into a new way of thinking. And in our case, that is an anthropological way of thinking. So what does it mean to be an anthropological, to think like an anthropologist? First, it means a relativistic perspective, and so the idea that people are different but not deficient. Secondly, it uses a comparative perspective, considering all variation, not just weird people. And weird people are people like you and me. It also means a holistic perspective, so looking at everything in context and not study things in isolation. Culture is very important because culture shapes how we are, how we see the world, how we act in the world. The fifth one is reflexivity. It's not just the other people that have culture, we have culture too. And it shapes how we see the world. And the last one is we're all connected as humans through globalization. And now the question is, so how do we get students to learn these things while not using midterms and finals? And we do that with challenges.
All right, so thank you, Mark. So what are these challenges, and how do we get students to live their way into this anthropological way of thinking? After introducing students to the field of anthropology in week 1, and contrary to what many of our students have been told growing up, we tell them to basically go out and talk to strangers. The first challenge is help students to step out of their comfort zone and engage in big talk. They're practicing and engaging the ethnographic skill of semi-structured interviewing, but they're also practicing these practical skills of listening, empathizing, and reflecting on their own lives by learning about the life of someone else. However, talking with a stranger does not mean small talk. Again, we're asking the students to talk about what is the perfect day for you, what's the best life, or what's the best day of your life, what's the worst day of your life, what roles do love and affection play in your life, when did you last cry in front of someone or by yourself? And those are the easy questions. Of course, we provide the detailed instructions for how to prepare for the challenge and how to write it all up. There are 10 challenges throughout the semester, which replace the midterms and our final exam. Each challenge is composed of 3 different parts. The first is the challenge itself. The second is a write-up of a reflection of their experience. And then third, they share those experiences with their peers, and they analyze that in the form of a debrief response. Each week, it's organized by module, so it looks sort of like this for the students at Carmen. We tell them what it is that they should be reading, what it is they should be watching and listening, and what is it that they need to do. So there's a lot of stuff that we ask of them, and so we organize it for them in this way. Some other versions of these challenges, we ask them to try something new. Have students try something new, like breaking a habit, like journaling, learning an instrument, going to bed on time. I do this with my students and I fail every single time, but I tell them that I'm not the one being graded for it. We also ask them to give up something, such as some form of tool, whether it's a mirror, a mobile phone, or electricity. In other encounters, we have students make a connection with someone who has a very different kind of idea and use questions that are adapted from 36 questions to make you fall in love. In the 9th challenge, we have students reflect on their own life thus far and write up that story as a hero story using Joseph Campbell's structure of the hero story. And so ultimately the question is, how do these challenges transform students into anthropological thinkers, and do they? The challenges sort of fit a sort of praxis model, helping the students take what they learn online or in the classroom and apply anthropology to their daily life. They're doing more than just thinking and learning about new ways of being. Not only are they gaining a deeper understanding of how anthropological concepts, skills, and perspectives are relevant in today's diverse world, they're talking about how they're becoming transformed, adopting, in many ways, subconsciously, Wesh's mantra, that you must live your way into a new way of thinking. And like many active learning scenarios, the students aren't necessarily realizing that they are learning until we get to that final challenge. And so with the time, I'm gonna share some quotes from some of the students. In the Challenge 10 debrief, we're asking the students to piece together all of the different things that they've learned throughout the semester. So, as one student put it in big capital letters, so much has happened because of this. I no longer have social media. I try to realize my body and mind are capable of so much more than I think, because there are cultures that are doing so much more than I'm doing. And I think one of these students also says really eloquently that I had to allow myself to be more vulnerable than I had been throughout the entire course. Every week I discovered something new about myself. Oftentimes the self-realization was difficult, yet I managed to embrace the self-reflection in the hopes of it affecting the way I live my life in a positive way. I'm incredibly thankful for all of these experiences that the course offered and expect them to have a lasting impact on my life. Again, a very warm, fuzzy message to end the semester. Of course, we're not the only ones who are doing this, and so we are extending to the campus and asking for help and guidance. We want to thank all of our university partners. I'd like to conclude with our checklist of the Carmen Common Sense as well. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you. So next up on the agenda, we have using Carmen Canvas as your classroom, which will cover how the Spanish and Portuguese department were able to make a pronunciation course fully online by using the advanced features in Carmen and SpeedGrader. Our presenter, Oyane, is a PhD candidate at the program of Hispanic Linguistics at the Department of Spanish and Portuguese at The Ohio State University. She has been a graduate teaching associate since 2014, and she has taught a variety of courses that include language program courses like Spanish 1 and higher level courses such as Introduction to Spanish Linguistics. Let's give her a big hand.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, so the title of my presentation is Using Carmen Canvas as Your Classroom. For today's presentation, I will be mainly focusing on the way I was using Canvas when I was teaching the course of Spanish pronunciation online during the semesters of summer 2018 and also fall 2018. First of all, I'd like to say that the course was being taught fully in person at the beginning. And then Professor Terrell Morgan started developing several activities in order to create a hybrid course. At some point, the previous chair of our department suggested the idea of teaching this course fully online. And then Professor Terrell Morgan created more activities in order to have this fully online course. So since then, the different instructors of Spanish pronunciation and Professor Terrell Morgan have been collaborating and developing different activities in order to improve student learning experience. So today, I'm going to be talking on how to use Canvas as the main tool to teach a course, and more specifically, to teach Spanish pronunciation. So first of all, when students log in to our website, the first image that they can see is the one that you see right here. It is very simple. It says syllabus, modules, and announcement. It's simple, but it contains all the information that the students need to access throughout the semester. So first of all, if they click on the word syllabus, which you can see in red, right here, they are able to access a website where they can download the syllabus. This website also has the main information of the course, such as the course requirement, the grading, and it also has this calendar with all the deadlines of the course, the deadlines of the assignment, homework, the different quizzes, and also the exams. So now, if they click on modules, they are able to see the Canvas content, all the content of the course. And we have it divided into different modules. In the first one, we included an introduction to our course. And in that introduction, first of all, we include information about the instructor. So for instance, in summer 2018, I included my picture. I also included the name of the course, my information, my name, my email, my office. And I also had a short paragraph in which I tell them about myself. Then we ask students to record their own video, explaining who they are to the whole class, and then they need to comment on each other's video. So as you can see, they start interacting with each other from the very beginning of the course. Now, if they click on announcements, they are able to see the different announcements that we make in the class. The advantage of using the announcements is that we can distribute information very easily and very quickly among our students, and we can also plan ahead of time. That is, we can delay the posting of an announcement. So now, for the following part of the presentation, I will be focusing mainly on how we are presenting the information in the course. So first of all, we know that the students have different ways of learning. And for that reason, we also reflect this in Canvas. So we are presenting information in 4 different ways in our website. First of all, students need to do textbook readings that are assigned in the syllabus. Apart from that, we have written information that is also available to them in Canvas. We have recorded different video tutorials. In some of them, you can see instructors using the Lightboard, as you see right here. In others, you can see instructors with a PowerPoint at the back and explaining the course content to students. I want to highlight here that these videos are very easy to make. We made them at the studio at OSU. And we also have flashcards in our website, in our Canvas course. And in those flashcards, students are able to see an image, they can pronounce the name of that object, and then they can listen to the pronunciation. After that, if they click on turn, they are able to see the spelling of that word. So that helps them practice different words. Now, a question that we oftentimes get is, okay, but how do you really teach a course on Spanish pronunciation online? From all the courses that you could teach online, why pronunciation? It's a question that we usually hear. So the truth is that the students need to do very similar activities if we compare them to the in-person section students. That is, students need to do the readings, they need to complete activities, they need to interact with each other, they need to understand the course content. Apart from that, students are also recording themselves. And then the instructor has to listen to all the audio files, and we give them individualized feedback to each of them. So in the online course, students are getting a lot of individualized feedback. I use the speed grader to give feedback to students, and I also integrate different rubrics in Canvas to make sure that I'm grading as consistently as possible. Apart from that, I also have office hours, which are virtual, and I do them using the course chat in Canvas. I also moderate discussions in which students are interacting with each other. And, finally, I use conferences in order to talk to students, answer questions, and also do the oral exams of the course. We have different ways in which we are implementing technology in the course. In one of the modules, we include the link to a website where students can see their actual pronunciation of words. So for instance, here, they can see how they are pronouncing a word, and if they were pronouncing it correctly, we wouldn't be able to see that white space in the middle. So students are able to read this information in Canvas, to learn about it, and then to practice those sounds without the instructor specifically telling them to do so. We also have different ways to assess students. Students complete quick quizzes, as we can see in here, and for those quick quizzes, they can use the textbook, they can use external resources, such as websites or any other textbook that they may have. They have 3 different attempts here, and Canvas takes into account the highest score. So here they have the possibility of repeating activities and improving. The same as in the in-person section, students also need to complete written exams. And for those written exams, they do not have access to the textbook or external materials. So in order to ensure that they are not using those external materials, we are using the Proctorio program. The Proctorio, it's a program that uses the webcam of a student in order to record them while they are taking the exam. If students do not feel comfortable being recorded while they are taking the exam, they can also go to the OSU Testing Center, and there are different people there that ensure that they are doing the exam without the external resources. And finally, I meet students individually using Canvas conferences. We use the conferences feature in order to rehearse for the oral exams and also to complete oral exams. Those oral exams are more pronunciation exams in which students need to reproduce certain sounds that they have been practicing and practicing throughout the semester, and I ask them to reproduce them in a specific context. So they are prepared to complete the oral exam, and then we do it through a video conference. And finally, it's very important to give feedback to students, but it is also very important to receive feedback from them. And Canvas can help us distribute different surveys in order to learn more about student experiences. So for instance, in one of the semesters that I was teaching online, I distributed a Qualtrics survey in which I was asking students to tell me about their experiences with the course. So one of the questions that I had was this one in here. If you needed to add something to the course, what would it be? What would you add to the course? And I gave them different options, and I told them that they could choose as many as they wanted. So then I received all the answers, and here. And Qualtrics gave me this graph that you can see. And I was able to see that I needed to work more on the video tutorials, I needed to work more on the flashcards, so I was able to have a conversation with the different instructors of Spanish pronunciation and with Professor Terrell Morgan and develop more materials for the course. So finally, I wanted to say thank you for your attention, and I also wanted to highlight that this was the result of the hard work of many people. And among them, we have Professor Terrell Morgan, and we also have Dr. Mary Johnson, and the different instructors of Spanish pronunciation, that is Spanish 3404. Thank you.
Next up for our final presentation, gamification, epic win or epic flop, is from Dr. Laura Dieter. This year, Dr. Dieter gamified her course, Plant Identification, Hortec 2110T, and gave students a unique and exciting learning experience. Laura Dieter is currently a full professor of horticulture at Ohio State ATI in Wooster, Ohio. She was awarded the ATI Distinguished Teaching Award twice and was recently named the 2019 Canvas Educator of the Year Award. Professor. She travels extensively around the country, speaking on a variety of topics ranging from taxonomy and nomenclature to shade gardens, design, color, and specialty gardens and plants.
Here, and I'm going to be walking back and forth, and I'm sure the guy in the back of the camera is going, oh my God, the sound is all over the place. So, how many people play games? Yeah, what games do you play? Yahtzee. All right, very classic game, dice rolling. Dice rolling's always fun. Over here, who raised your hand? Nobody plays games over here. Settlers came out in '95 in that time frame, very classic game, introduced this country to the world of Euro gaming. Right? Those of you who are in my generation probably remember, shall we play a game? Greetings, Professor Falcon. Right? And the whole point is, when we are playing, we learn things. And we're not even aware that we're learning things. And so, I did the course in plant identification. And plant identification is 250 plants over the course of a semester that they have to memorize. Nobody memorizes anything anymore. I'm quite convinced that they don't memorize times tables. They don't know what spelling tests are. And if you want to be a horticulturist, and I ask you what that plant is, you better be able to say, that's a red maple. And I'm okay if they don't know something. 500,000 plants in a row, I'm perfectly okay if you don't know a plant. Right? But if you are being hired by somebody to be the expert in that area, if you say, I don't know, what's that? I don't know. What's that? I don't know. What's that? I don't know. Pretty soon I'm looking for a new expert. Right? So how can I make playing games more fun for them? And so what I did was I gamified my course. And this is the landing page for plant identification. Anybody know Plants vs. Zombies? Oh, that's like the best tower defense type game ever, right? Came out in like the early 2000s. Very, very dated now, basically. You just put a bunch of plants in different areas, and the pea shooters shoot peas as the zombies shuffle on by, and arms fall off, and heads fall off, and then they fall over, and those sorts of things. But that was one of the few video games that I could think of that involved plants, where they weren't actually the bad guys. You know, because if you watch things like Little Shop of Horrors, there's a plant there that eats people, right? Well, that's not exactly what I wanted students to remember from my course. So I went online and I borrowed a bunch of images from the Plants vs. Zombies game. And I turned the course into something that I hope the students had fun with while they were playing the game. The epic quests that are there, those are all the required assignments. You don't have to play. If you want to be a party pooper and not play anything, fine, go right ahead. Right? So the epic quests are right there. It's one of the first things that they see. Those are the required assignments for the course. And then you'll notice there are hero quests, backyard missions, and mini games. Right? The backyard missions are the daily goal. You know when you log into like Candy Crush, it's like click here and you get 2 little coins. And over the course of 5 years, you build up a stock of 50 little coins that you can buy this one really cool thing with. Right? So every time you log in, you can click on the backyard missions. It'll take you to a Microsoft Office Forms, right, which they can use, which they get free with their with their student account, right? And it asks them a goofy question, what's your favorite football team? I don't care what the answer is. Well, I mean, I do for that one. But they get their points regardless, right? So it doesn't really matter what they answer. But they might log in one day and it'll say, what's your favorite color? You know, do you have any hobbies? Yes or no? Have you had pets growing up? Silly little things. And they get 5 what I term leaf points. That's the League of Extraordinary Action Foliage for those of you who don't play the game. Right? And those points can be utilized to turn in later for assignment credit, for bonus examples, for me to give them hints on a quiz or on an exam. The mini games are simply quizzes within Carmen. What are the state flowers? They're 10 points each. Here's a bunch of state flowers. They're all multiple choice. Plant names mean something, and so here are plant names, and those names are named after somebody, or they're named for colors, because they're required to learn a botanical Latin for these names. And so there's about, I don't know, 15 or 18 quizzes in there, and I've told them that I would give them 10 points for every correct answer, which Carmen does, but that's way too much work. They get their credit, whether they get the answer right or wrong. Because I started doing that the first time I did this, and was like, wow, I'm spending a lot of time adding 10 points and 20 points, and that was way too much work. Right? The hero quests, however, are where they can start to earn a lot of different points. Right? And you can see their vocabulary quizzes. They can just go into Carmen and they can take vocabulary quizzes. That helps them study. Oh my gosh, I'm forcing them to study while they're earning things to have fun with it. Right? They can take practice IQ quizzes. None of them are going into the Arboretum anyways, so I might as well do this stuff online. So there they are, practice midterms, practice finals. If they're doing study guides, you guys making flashcards or doing Quizlets, show them to me, I'll give you points. Right? Plants and video games. Then they can go here and they can see all kinds of different things that they can do within plants, within video games. All right? Some of them are very simple. Here's a bunch, if it ever loads. There we go. We start to see plants from various video games. They have to rank them in order of, well, whether or not they're, their toughness rating, if you will. Is that hard for them to do? No. Every single one of these quests has a little chart like that tells them how many attempts they have, how much time they have at their due date. That is my estimation on how difficult this is, how many leaf points they can earn, and how much time it might take them to do this. Notice I put including Google. I want them looking stuff up. I want them interacting with the world of knowledge that is now held in their hands. All right? I want them using that sort of thing. All right? So they can do all those sorts of things, turn that in, and do all kinds of crazy things. Funny thing about this one was when I did the hero quest for Harry Potter, very near and dear to my heart, I had several students come up to me and go, man, that was a long time ago. I didn't even know that existed. How is this even possible? Right? This is like a cultural icon. Right? So they can click and do things, different things that are in there. What they can do with all of this, however, is earn the points. And if you go to Crazy Days 2080s, because that's what the game calls it, you will find out what you can do with your points. And there are several different levels of points that you can earn. Because as you progress through the game gets harder. So the first plants are very, very easy. You'll notice they're not worth a lot. Those are all the plants from the game. So they're hiring their little helper plants, setting up a little tower defense to help them get through the class. You can see the squash, it's only 500 leaf points. A couple of quizzes and you've got 500 leaf points. Maybe half an hour out of their time, that will count as one of their required discussion quizzes. They get credit for not doing it. But they've done other things. They didn't realize they were doing other things. They thought they were playing a game. Alright, level 2 plants cost a bit more. You'll notice things like a plant comes back and forces a zombie master me to repeat a quiz plan. Or I give them hints on quizzes. Level 3 plants will help them out with exams. They can look at their exam and go, oh yeah, you know how exams goes. We've all taken exams and look at the exam and you go, yeah, I got it. They can use their leave points to say, I don't want to answer that. They don't have to answer that question. And the more they do, they can do that with up to 5 questions on either their midterm or their final. And then their level 4 plants, look at there, the coconut cannon is 100,000 leaf points. Okay? A blast a hole in the space-time continuum and forget time for the final answer take home. Boy, they got really, really excited when they saw that. You know, you can see here, we've got 20,000 leaf points. I'll drop the lowest quiz score for the entire class. We take an IQ quiz every week. We're wandering around the Arboretum. This is 1, this is 2. They write down the scientific and the common name. Okay? They can use things like this to boost their grade. And the whole point is, no one student can earn 100,000 points. No one student can earn 100,000 points. So they are forced to decide whether or not they're going to be selfish and pool their points for just themselves, because they can help just themselves, or whether or not they're going to work together as a class to earn benefits as a class. And that's what they ended up doing. They all worked together. And when I ended up polling them at the end, I just put a little survey on Carmen, I ended up polling them at the end. One student didn't play the game at all. Every single student felt that they were more engaged with the course material. They came to Carmen to check and see if some new part of the game had popped up. You know, could they do these things? Could they get these things? And they wanted to play the game. The game showed them that plants are all over the place. That's the point of this. Plants are everywhere. It allowed them to do something fun and creative and different within farming. I know I'm over. One thing I'm going to say about this, there's 450 hours worth of time developing this. Right? I would highly recommend, if you're going to do this, start slow. Don't just go, I'm going to gamify the whole course. I did. And pick something small, and build it over a couple of years. Thank you. Sorry for going.
All right, that was amazing. All of those presentations were amazing. I want some leaf points. That's all I know. I don't care what class it is, but I want leaf. That was amazing. That blew my mind. That was incredible. I've never seen anything like that. We just first off wanted to just say thank you again for this, for letting us do this in this amazing event. Do we have? Oh, perfect. Yes. Okay. And to announce this. So. I mentioned at the beginning that one of the original goals of Carmen Common Sense was to create a Carmen Award. So we believe that now is the time to launch that so people can start getting aware of it and get excited about this thing. So it's going to be launching in October. We're going to have an application out. We'll make sure Innovate and everyone and our stuff gets out there so you guys all know what's going on with that. There's going to be a huge marketing effort from USG with students as well because this is something where we don't want just students to be nominating professors. We don't want just professors to do it. We want everyone to be nominating. You can nominate your peers. If you know someone has an amazing Carmen page and they just aren't going to nominate themselves, absolutely go ahead and do that. If you have an amazing Carmen page yourself and you're like, you know what, I can win this, nominate yourself. We want to see those pages. And the more people that we get to apply to this award, the more Carmen pages that we get to see, the better that this entire project becomes, which Sri's going to talk about now.
So we're talking about the end goal of Carmen Common Sense. It started off with encouraging use of the top 10 list. So we're still working on that, getting that out to professors, getting that out to faculty members, making sure that people understand, like, even though that list, which, you know, is obviously very, very basic, there are classes that we've experienced that don't have things on that list. And they can really end up impacting our levels of enjoying a class or learning from the class. And then we sort of take that into the next step of awarding great Carmen courses. So, you know, making sure that people who are putting the extra time in, who are making sure that students are getting everything they can out of their Carmen course, making sure that those people get recognized and awarding the Carmen courses so that way other people can look to those Carmen courses as examples. And then that sort of leads into the future part of Carmen Common Sense, which is using it as a basis for course templates. So especially with the new GE implementation and the possible changing with that, we want to make sure that these great Carmen pages aren't just out there as examples, but we're able to turn them into Carmen shells that new classes are able to easily use. So that way you don't have to struggle and try and make it all from yourself from like ground up, but you have a shell to simply put your info into, and a shell that, you know, has been proven to be quality. And this entire process is very iterative. So like we'll be going back and changing the top 10 list, because if we realize every single Carmen course has, you know, all of the top 10 lists, then there's new things we want to add onto it, new things that students will expect out of Carmen courses. But this project has been handed down to me from other USG members, and I'm sure I'll hand it on to others. So it's been really cool to work with Innovate and ODE and all the other departments we've been working with. And I hope to see this project like grow and continue to impact students and Carmen courses in the future.
That, I think we are done. So again, we want to thank you guys for your time. This is amazing, and now we're going to pass it off to leave.
Thank you. So I just want to thank these students both for being here and presenting tonight, but for all of the work that they and a whole range of students across undergraduate student government have done to lead this work. I think it's so important, and their leadership in this can't really be underestimated. So Todd, Adler, and Sheree, let's give them another round of applause. So I experienced this one on a really, my name is Lee Viestfang. I'm the Associate VP for Learning Technology in ODEE, and I experience this set of challenges that you all described very personally because I have a partner who's doing graduate work, and because I work in the Office of Distance Ed and E-Learning and with the team that runs Carmen, she thinks that sort of the conversation, you know, the things that she faces in the courses she's taking online are maybe things that I might have some direct control over. So we spend a lot of time with being like, why would the syllabus be here? And I'm like, I don't actually run every Carmen course. But she said, I spend so much time learning how to learn that I don't have that much time left to learn. And so I think that's a really important point, and I think it's particularly important because some of the students who maybe are most in need of a kind of easy access and well-structured and easy to navigate course are often the ones who get left behind when that's not there. So I think, how do we help create a really equitable environment for all students? She came by here tonight and said, clearly I'm just taking all the wrong courses. So this was a phenomenal lineup. Thank you all for the work that you've done and for being here to present. Your classes are absolutely amazing, and it was just a delight to get to hear from you about what you've done to structure these courses. So I want to remind you, Innovate theme is transform. As we mentioned, proposals are open as of right now. They do close early. I think we said November 19th, so right before the holidays. And we are really, this, exactly what you heard tonight, examples of the kind of work that you or your colleagues are doing to make the learning experience better for students. Those are the stories that we love to share. So I hope that you all will consider applying and that you will also encourage your colleagues to submit, both from Ohio State and from across the country in your disciplines. We really welcome a diverse range of presenters. And we also welcome student presenters and partnerships. So please consider all of that. And I do want to just take a moment. Hold on just a second. I'm going to just log into my highly secured iPad, which just logged me out. Conversation we had last night was when she left her phone upstairs and tried to log in and was like, God, this Duo thing. And she's like, it's so inconvenient. And I'm like, it'll be inconvenient when our systems get hacked and the Chinese shut down the entire Eastern power grid. And she was like, well, yeah, but it's still a disruption. I was like, I know, I hear it all day and I hear it all night. All right, so I wanted to just call out, I really appreciate the language that the Innovate team has put together, thinking about the transformation of the landscape of 21st century education with a focus this coming year in 2020 on ensuring excellence in teaching and learning and improving the student experience, and also focusing on making an impact on the world beyond the classroom. And I think, again, we saw some really great examples of that tonight. We're interested in hearing about individual teaching practices, interdisciplinary collaborations, institution-wide initiatives, and beyond. And now I want to take just a moment to thank the organizers and the Innovate crew who have spent a lot of time pulling this event together. So Amanda and Sydney and Justin, all of you, Scott, who were involved, if you could just wave your hands for a minute so we can thank you for all of your work. Thank you so much. Amber. All right, and now the part you've really all been waiting for is the raffle. So who has dropped in your raffle, or you have a raffle ticket? I'm not quite sure how this works. You have a raffle ticket. I'm gonna pull a raffle ticket, and then 3 of you lucky people are gonna win some phenomenal prizes. And, oh, names, okay, great. So the first prize is a pair of AirPods. Who has AirPods? Okay. Only 2 of you raised your hands. So you're the only 2 who will have to give back your AirPods if you win because you already have them. Oh, and I will just mention that because we want those of you who don't win to not feel too bad, we have a winner's tax that we like to put on the 3 lucky people who win. So if you do win, you get an amazing prize and the opportunity to pay the tax on that prize, because that's how we work as a public institution. If you're not from OSU, then we're really glad to have you here, and you don't have to pay our tax. So special congratulations. This goes to Brian Ritchie. Yay! He was right up front ready for his prize. Do you have AirPods? Okay, congratulations. Thank you. You're welcome. Awesome. Okay, so the next one says it's an Apple Watch Series 3, I believe. So I'm pretty sure it's an Apple Watch. Oh, it's a Series 4. That's the newer one? I think that's not the newest, but it's newer. You can swim with it. You can run with it. Text your friends with it. All kinds of things you can do with it. You can actually get the motivation you need to achieve your fitness goals, according to my notes. So that's helpful. And you can stay connected to the people and information you care about, in addition to those other things I said. Okay, I'm gonna mix it up. Oh, and you can do it all right from your wrist. Okay, and who's gonna do it? Lisa Cravens-Brown. Woohoo! And we have an extra high tax on anyone who works in our department or is related to anyone who works in our department, in that you don't get to have a prize at all. So if you put a ticket in here, I'm just not going to even read your name. Okay, so the next is the Play Impossible Game Ball. This device puts 21st century technology inside the world's oldest toy. The world's oldest toy after we invented round things. Before that, I think there were, Mark could probably tell us, other toys that were not round. We can do really fun things that you would never have imagined. So in addition to just throwing a ball and kicking a ball, hitting other people with a ball and other fun things we've historically done with the world's oldest toy, we can now track the speed, calculate the spin and the height, and so many more fun things with every throw, catch, toss, and tap, right from your phone. So this is amazing. I know lots of you have been really wishing you'd had the opportunity to track the velocity of the ball you're throwing while you're playing catch with your children. So it's apparently inflatable. That's what my notes say, but it doesn't really look like that to me. It also, my notes say it has a small brain inside that connects via Bluetooth to the Play Impossible app, which has 10 free, fun, and educational games that will challenge your strength, reflexes, and speed with the power of smart device technology. So that's what we're getting. Who wants this really bad? Lisa already won, so unfortunately she can't have it. Okay, I'm mixing them all around. Equal opportunity, sorry, Sydney. This goes to Jessie Queek. Yes. Jessie, we're gonna hook you up with a blog post in about a month so you can tell us how your velocity is doing. All right, so I want to take a moment to thank you all again for coming. This is such a beautiful room. This is the first event we've held in this room. On your way out, if you stop on the second floor, how many people here have been in room 280, Pomerene 280? So it's a beautiful active learning classroom. It's really big. It is like this space, maintain the historic integrity of the space. This was a state-funded project, actually, a historical project, and it's difficult when we had a lot of tricky conversations with the historical conservationists and those of us who understand the kind of technology and audio that's necessary to make a space work for teaching and learning. So check out 280. It's just down the stairs and off to that way, the left, your right, I suppose. Beautiful space, and it's a classroom pool room that can be booked by anyone. Reminder, Innovate is May 14th, so please mark your calendars. And finally, I think that's all. Grab some more food. Please feel free to stick around and chat with our presenters. And I want to thank you all so much for giving your evening to us tonight. It was really great to have you here. Have a good night. Thank you.